Hagen League team banned for 3 years. Unitech begins reconciliation. And court says no to Hela by-election.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me with Monday's news. The Hagen Eagles have been banned from the Intercity Cup competition for 3 years, starting 2017 to 2019. This follows the incident where an official from Hagen Eagles attacked the referee during the semi-final match against Egmak Warriors on the 27th of August. PNG NRL made this known today after a board meeting was held last Friday at the Gateway Hotel.
After detailed analysis based on the judiciary recommendations with consultation to the competition rules and regulations, as well as assessing the situations and circumstances present, the PNG NRL board agreed on the following penalties to be handed down.
For the Mount Hagen Eagles, the board agreed that they will have a team suspension from taking part in a digital cup competition for the next 3 years. So for 3 years, we won't have any team representing Mount Hagen Eagles. In that, saying no team from Western Islands. The third prize money, which they came up with, is going to be forfeited.
The official who instigated the brawl has been banned for life, while 2 Eagles players also face suspension that could see the end of their rugby league career.
He was given a life ban from participating in any NRL censored activities. This gentleman is banned. He is not to be seen at least 50 meters away from any playing venues. For Hagen Eagles, Francis Ray was slapped with a 10 years suspension, both as a player and as an official. So he was not partaking in any NRL censored games. The number 4 and their team captain, Junior Rao, was suspended for another 10 years again as a player and official. This is for punching the linesman Ben Kaupa.
Civil charges have been laid against Stanley Akinu and Junior Rao and have now become a police matter. Details will be disclosed when PNG NRL know the outcome of the case. PNG NRL has also charged 4 Egmak Warriors players for players' misconduct. They have been charged a fine of 5,000 kina each and a 5-match suspension starting next season.
Our players' code of conduct, it is a breach of our players' code of conduct against the spectators. For Warriors, Francis Paniu. Number 10 for Warriors, Samuel Amari. Number 14 for Warriors, Lucas Capinias. And number 16 for Warriors, Adrian Bagus.
Players and team officials can always appeal against the decisions made. Elijah Levet, National EMTV News.
Lae Metropolitan Commander Chief Superintendent Anthony Wagambi has confirmed that a youth was shot dead and 20 people injured following a clash that erupted at Boundary Road area over the weekend. Police were deployed to the area and managed to stop the fighting. However, many people are now homeless and displaced.
You know, the people have to take ownership of their own activities. Peace cannot come about. We can't force them to have peace. And peace is still a hand blow yet. They need to think seriously about it now. You know, think of the livelihood blow into the city. Because I am of the strongest view that after so much attempts to get peace back in the area, the government must come in strong now and start evicting people off the land.
The process of reconciliation has begun at the University of Technology as students work to resolve differences stemming from the boycott several months ago. Today, elders from Enga and Southern Highlands met with the Higher Education Minister and the Morobe Governor and expressed their desire for the academic year to continue.
In a conference held this afternoon, elders from both sides expressed their strong desire for the academic year to resume without any disruptions. The University of Technology didn't suspend classes until a first-year student, Graham Romanong from the Southern Highlands, was killed in a brutal attack and several buildings destroyed. This afternoon, Graham's brother discouraged any retaliation and said the university should continue with normal business. The Higher Education Minister, Francis Marus, and the Morobe Governor were also involved in the discussions today. Both men have pledged support to the relatives to facilitate the reconciliation process.
Bind him strong, come up in one bell, na make him school he come up Ken.
The tensions escalated at Unitech and the university was forced to shut down after violence erupted. It was triggered by disagreements during a boycott which called for the Prime Minister to step down.
So today we have reached that objective by way of bringing two parties together.
Meanwhile, the Higher Education Minister has requested the UPNG Council in Port Moresby to allow an appeal from banned student leaders to be heard. He said he's seeking a consensus between both parties. Scott Waide, National MTV News, Ley.
A public prosecutor referral of Prime Minister Peter O'Neill to a leadership tribunal in 2014 has been ruled unconstitutional. A five-man Supreme Court bench handed down the decision last Friday following three separate references put forward for the court's clarification. The referral by the public prosecutor was in relation to allegations of misconduct in office in the borrowing of the controversial 3 billion kina UBS loan to purchase shares in Oil Search Limited.
The matter was referred to the public prosecutor by the Ombudsman Commission and raises three issues: allegations of failing to comply with administrative and financial process, allegations of having approved the UBS loan arrangement without NEC approval, and allegations of making misleading statements about the truth of decommissioning then Treasury Minister Don Pollier.
The Supreme Court found that the agreed facts or evidence provided by the Ombudsman Commission did not support any of these allegations or issues, and the public prosecutor did not have a strong enough case to appoint a leadership tribunal. The court heard that instead of declining the OC's direction, the public prosecutor went ahead and requested the Chief Justice to appoint a tribunal.
Confusion in the powers of the public prosecutor to appoint the leadership tribunal has aroused three constitutional references from Attorney General Anno Pala, Justice David Kennings, and Justice Colin McKyle for clarification. In this case, the Supreme Court clarified that it was unconstitutional for the public prosecutor to take that action. Therefore, the court ruled that the direction issued on March 14, 2014 to Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and all the parties involved in the negotiations of the loan and share purchase agreements were invalid. Basinata Yama, National MTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has welcomed the Supreme Court decision declaring his referral unconstitutional. He said the decision has given clarity on important constitutional questions. He said he had always been confident that the decision by the NEC in the borrowing of funds to facilitate the state taking equity in Oil Search was not illegal. Still to come in National MTV News, court reviews application on Hela by-election. Tourism Minister supports Looking PNG Expo and the launch of a strategic plan for the coconut industry. Stay with us. Welcome back. An application to hold a by-election for the Hela governor's seat was this afternoon refused by the Waigani National Court. The ruling was made by Justice Colin McHale on the grounds that there was a breach in Section 50 of the Constitution. This section gives provisions for Papua New Guineans the right to vote to stand for public office. The court found that this section was breached on 28 April and continues until 26th of July.
Parties involved in this matter are Larry Undergully as the plaintiff, the Electoral Commission, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, National Executive Council, and the state as defendants. Mr. Undergully submitted that the 12-month period fixed for the return of writs for the 2017 elections was still a long way when the governor's seat became vacant. Thus, Electoral Commission, by law, was obliged to conduct a by-election.
Constitutional requirements were not followed with by not calling the by-election. The court did made an order that the office of the governor for Hela became vacant on the 28th of April 2016. Then there was supposed to be a by-election, but then that did not happen.
The court found that the position of the Electoral Commission was not clear on the vacancy of the governor's seat. In the Electoral Commissioner's affidavit filed on the 11th of August, the court heard that there was no money to fund the by-election. And because the national general election is 8 months away, EC was more focused on that. Because of this, Electoral Commission shifted the blame to the Finance Department, telling the court it did everything under its powers, but funds were not released.
Whether there was no funding or whether there were security issues or whatever that reason was not clearly came out clear. They did not even come and defend the reasons in court, and that is very, very disappointing. Very disappointing for the people of Hela. And that right is a special right. It's not an ordinary right.
The courts found that there was no evidence that the Finance Department had indicated when funds would be made available. Based on this, Justice Mikhail said there is uncertainty in both the Finance Department and the Electoral Commission, and the people of Hela should not be treated in this manner. Meanwhile, in a separate matter, the court will decide on who the acting governor for Hela will be. That case is also before Justice Colin Mikhail. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Probationary constables Jacqueline Tanda and Joshua Yawija will use Section 96 of the District Court Act next Tuesday. This means both accused will make submissions to the Waigani Committal Court's ruling on the sufficiency of evidence found against them. The two were accused of having forced a woman to swallow male condoms at the Baroko police station last December.
The two accused were initially charged under the Criminal Code Act on 3 counts: their abuse of office, deprivation of personal liberty, and doing an indecent act to insult another person. However, Senior Magistrate Cosmas Bida had dismissed the abuse of office and deprivation of personal liberty charges when he made a ruling to commit the two to a higher court last month. This means they will make submissions on the Waigani Committal Court's ruling to commit them to stand trial at the National Court in Port Moresby. The accused were supposed to use Section 96 this morning, but had their case adjourned after their lawyer told the court he had other cases to attend to. Police alleged that on 4 December 2015, Yawija, Tanda, and another police officer took in a young woman for questioning at the Baroko police station. During the interrogation, the woman was asked to empty a bilum which contained 7 male condoms. Yawija was accused to have forced the woman to swallow the condoms, while Tanda filmed the event. The video was later uploaded to social media and prompted the police internal unit to investigate. Both are out on 1,000 kina bail each, and their bail conditions prevents them from interfering with police investigations. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
With reference to the previous story, while reporting on today's court decision on the condom eating case, EMTV reporter Thekla Gunga and cameraman Paul Naime were threatened and intimidated by one of the defendants. This is the second time for this person to threaten television journalists. EMTV News has lodged a letter of complaint on the incident with the RPNGC hierarchy. A Lae-based distributing company has thrown its support behind calls by a group of musicians to stop music piracy. Panamax and Lae band Doom and Extras made a joint statement on the eve of the band's official launch, saying counterfeits produced illegally shouldn't be bought by customers. Both music piracy and counterfeits have become a huge concern for musicians and distributors alike.
No, I'm CD, slam no. All companies withdraw because Paris big plan on working money so what no blog in the recording Laos. Okay, may place or getting popularity na. Me focus low live gig.
First trial me try working in country na Lae. So me try working something long. Promoting more musician or songs from me plan.
Panamax is totally against counterfeit products and items and fake products which harm our consumers, and that's why we are more into product awareness, to schools, hospitals, and roadside markets and others.
Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture Tobias Kulang presented 200,000 kina towards the Looking PNG Now Tourism Expo. The event will see local exhibitors showcasing PNG artifacts to international tourists from around the world.
Officiating at the check presentation ceremony with Tobias Kulang, Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Tourism Promotion Authority Marketing Director Alice Kwanengi, PNG Tourism Association Executive Officer Christine Paypool, and Office of Tourism, Arts and Culture Director General Mariana Ellingson. Speaking during the event, Mr. Kulang said the 200,000 kina will be used to host the Looking Pikinini Now Expo, a catalyst to bring more tourists into the country. The expo will coincide with the 26th International Tourism Day to be held on the 25th to the 26th of this month. In light of this, OTEG will be working with sister organizations, the Tourism Promotion Authority and the National Museum Arts and Gallery in its preparations.
What we've done is we have now, creating a stronger bond between the sister institutions, the Tourism Promotion Authority, National Museum Arts Gallery, National Cultural Commission, and OTEG. So now we are moving together.
A total of 35 local exhibitors are set to showcase PNG artifacts to international bidders from around the globe. Tourism Promotion Authority Marketing Director Alice Kwanengi said there are a number of events leading up to this event.
There's a number of activities and events that will happen throughout the week. We have the marketing tourism training. We also have the marketing workshop, the National Tourism Conference on the 23rd of September, and the Looking PNG Now Tourism Expo, which is from the 25th to the 27th of September.
Our exhibitors will be doing one-on-one, business-to-business deals with the agents. So some of them, these are all market-ready products, so they'll be potentially be signing, business deals with the agents.
The stewardship of our current minister, he's been able to bring all these organizations together to strengthen the effort for the tourism offer.
Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
The lack of a provincial education plan is affecting the growth of the education sector in the East Sepik province. Schools in the Yanguru Sausia district made these concerns clear to their local member during his visit recently. Yanguru Sausia MP and Minister for Trade, Commerce and Industry Richard Maru said several new schools in his district are suffering because the province lacks an education plan.
While the government continues to talk up its free education policy, it has created new problems at the district level. With more children going to school, districts like Yanguru Sausia have to build capacity by building new classrooms, teachers' houses, and even build new schools to accommodate for this increase in student numbers. However, TFFs are only given to registered schools. New schools cannot be registered if they are not included in the provincial education plan. And the problem is exacerbated if the province does not have a provincial education plan to begin with.
And every district is now having to fend for themselves and plan for themselves. The problem with this is this. We can build the classrooms, but when we go to apply for registration, if a new school is not in the education plan, we simply will not get the school registered, and therefore there will be no paid teachers for the schools. They will not receive TFF.
Minister Maru said 7 new schools in his district have been in existence for 6 to 7 years and are still unregistered because the East Sepik province does not have a provincial education plan. Such a plan needs to be approved by the Provincial Executive Council and be endorsed by the National Education Department.
With the universal free education policy of the Dion government, the problem is not going to create is that we're going to have a demand for more and more classrooms because more and more children are coming to school. We have over 1 million new students coming to school because of free education. Now, ECP continues to not have a plan. Then how are we going to get the school registered? How is the education department going to allocate teachers? How are these schools going to get TFF? Who is going to fund all these schools?
Minister Maru is therefore calling on the East Sepik provincial government to get its act together and develop a provincial education plan if it is serious about the education of its human resources.
So I want to call on the governor of East Sepik and his PC to wake up from the long sleep and do something about education in East Sepik.
Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Fiji has responded to PNG's trade relation issues highlighted by the Minister for Trade, Commerce and Industry, Richard Maru. Officials from Fiji's Biosecurity Authority will soon be in the country to meet officers from the National Agriculture Quarantine Inspection Authority, NAQIA, to resolve any pending trade issues between Fiji and PNG. Minister Maru assured Fiji of PNG's cooperation as it is in both countries' interest to get a speedy resolution to the trade impasse. Fiji's Industry, Trade and Tourism Minister Fayaz Koya is optimistic that discussions between Fiji's Biosecurity Authority and PNG's NAQIA will resolve the matter and open discussions on a range of other commodities of trade for both countries.
Obviously, we've asked them to lift the import restrictions because we are basically saying there's no basis for it. It's totally unfair on PNG. And obviously, if the import restrictions are not lifted, we will move to Plan B, and that is to invoke the dispute settlement process with the WTO. That's the process we'll follow. We will follow all the legal channels that we need to follow. But the message is clear. We are going to make sure that we will stand up this time. We've waited for 12 years. PNG is not going to back off. We'll follow the process until we get the unnecessary import restrictions lifted. So our products will be able to enter the Fiji market, just like the open market access we give for their products. That is starting to really flood our nation.
Difficulties within the agriculture sector need to be overcome to ensure that it returns to its former glory days. To ensure these commodity plans need to be effectively implemented. National Planning Minister Charles Abel made these remarks when launching the Coconut Industry Strategic Plan.
The Coconut Industry Corporation played host to members from across the agriculture sector, with a delegation flown into Alatau late last week. Their main agenda, to witness the launch of the Coconut Industry Strategic Plan. National Planning Minister Charles Abel was given the honour of launching this document, whilst at the same time calling for the agriculture sector to lift their performance.
But at the end of the day, plans are necessary, but unless we get on and activate those plans, they're useless. They remain plans. And I must say that we are guilty of this in the agriculture sector.
Among intervention programs by the current government, a complete overhaul of commodity boards and how they operate. Whilst these reforms within agriculture need to take place, there must also be a commitment from government, especially in terms of funding.
Our leaders talk about agriculture being the backbone, and yet what we receive in terms of the resourcing to support the sector is just less than 2%.
The launch of the Coconut Industry Strategic Plan also coincided with the signing of an MOU with provincial authorities for the relocation of the South Pacific International Coconut Gene Bank to Punipuni on the north coast of the province. This making Milne Bay Province in effect become the home of coconut.
The SME program supports the provincial government's shift in economic development focus to put money into people's pockets.
These developments are all in line with the Coconut Industry Corporation's aim to improve coconut industry in the region, particularly in terms of having more producers venture into high-value coconut products.
We can prove in this country and also in other Asian countries that coconut tree is also the tree for wealth creation for rural farmers.
Meribatulo, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.3155 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3080, $0.4039 Australian dollars, $0.2731 euro and 31.68 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, cocoa, and copper closed higher, while coffee closed the day unchanged. Crude oil and copper closed lower, while palm oil closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 72.66 points higher, the ASX is trading at 56.80 points higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 53.83 points higher. Stories making headlines overseas when we return. Illegal hunting threatens extinction of gorillas, and cybersecurity a concern at the G20 summit. Welcome back to the news. Illegal hunting in the Democratic Republic of Congo has wiped out 70% of eastern gorillas in the past 2 decades and pushed the world's biggest primate close to extinction, a red list of endangered species showed on Sunday. According to wildlife experts, 4 of 6 species of great apes are now rated critically endangered or one step away from extinction caused by threats such as hunting and the loss of forest to farmland from West Africa to Indonesia.
Eastern gorillas, revised from a lesser category of endangered, joined their sister species, the western gorilla, and both species of orangutan, which were already on the list as critically endangered. The other 2 species of great apes, chimpanzees and bonobos, are rated endangered. Millions of people died in fighting in the mineral-rich east of the Democratic Republic of Congo from 1996 and 2003, and militias and miners often hunted gorillas for food. The main population of eastern gorillas, the biggest primates weighing up to 200 kilograms, tumbled to an estimated 3,800 animals in 2015, from 16,900 in 1994, according to the report issued at an IUCN Congress in Hawaii. A smaller branch of the eastern gorilla family, the mountain gorilla, has fared better, with the population rising from 880 from perhaps 500 in Rwanda, Uganda, and the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Chimpanzees were most able to adapt to a loss of forest habitats, to oil palm plantations or other farms, while gorillas and orangutans were less flexible. Among other changes, the IUCN said the population of plains zebra in Africa had fallen to about 500,000 animals from 660,000, also because of hunting for their meat and stripy skins. That put the species on a watch list as near threatened after being of least concern.
Today is kind of a sad day because the IUCN Red List shows that we are wiping out some of our closest relatives. The eastern gorilla, which is the largest living primate, is now in this update listed as critically endangered. And it has suffered a significant population decline due to illegal hunting. This means that 4 out of every 6 great ape species are now critically endangered, and 2 that are not are still under considerable threat of extinction.
Lorraine Gabina, EMTV World News.
The G20 summit has been the target of cyber attacks in recent years, and that threat has been a big concern at the G20 summit going on in China right now.
It was September 2013, a crucial G20 summit in St. Petersburg, dominated by the conflict in Syria. The leaders at this point unaware some of their computers had been infiltrated. For 2 months before that meeting, according to cyber research firm FireEye, Syria-themed emails had been sent to several European foreign ministries. They contained attachments which, once opened, downloaded malicious software, allowing the hackers to spy on their targets. FireEye said it traced that hack to China. Beijing denied any involvement. And it wasn't the first time the G20 had been targeted. 2 years earlier, French government computers had been infected with malware before a G20 finance ministers summit in Paris. there was no conclusive evidence on who was behind it.
It's definitely a major target for hackers, and specifically nation-state attackers, because they're trying to actually steal data that can actually help them understand a government's negotiating position.
Spying at international gatherings is nothing new. The difference now, the internet makes it easier.
In years past, if you think about espionage when it took place, it would cost any government an enormous amount of money. Today, for a minimal amount of money, a couple $100,000, you could be very well equipped.
Experts say G20 delegations need to equip themselves against potential threats. They advise using clean or burner phones to avoid carrying personal data, avoiding hotel Wi-Fi, and even adding cybersecurity experts to their physical security detail. We contacted several G20 delegations to see what precautions they were taking for the summit in China. None would comment, although a former US official speaking on condition of anonymity told us President Obama and all his staff all use encrypted phone and satellite links when they travel. The president even takes portable soundproof tents for secure communication. This is one from a 2011 trip to Brazil.
There's no question that the landscape is changing.
Dmitry Alperovich's firm CrowdStrike uncovered evidence back in June that the Russian government was behind a hack on the US Democratic National Committee.
Before, nation-states were primarily engaging in espionage, where they would come into your network, steal your documents. Nowadays, you have to worry about the public leaking of that information influence operations that would be conducted against you.
So amid the public shows of unity at the G20, there may be more complex political plays in cyberspace.
Rodrigo Duterte, the Philippines president, began cultivating a hardline approach against crime decades ago. Now that he is president, his bloody war on drugs has shocked people around the world.
After a deadly attack on a Philippines marketplace, Davao City residents are learning what it means to live in what President Rodrigo Duterte calls, quote, a state of lawlessness. Military personnel patrol the city on motorcycles, and police checkpoints have been set up around the city's entry and exit points.
This is one of our heightened security measures. Those who are entering and leaving Davao City are being inspected. Cars, motorcycles, everything will be checked without exemptions.
Friday's blast killed more than a dozen people and injured dozens more. Duterte has called it an act of terrorism, saying it is possible the explosion was a reprisal for his crackdown on extremists known to the area. So far, no group has claimed responsibility. He declared the nation was in a state of lawlessness and authorised the military to patrol in urban areas. But he stopped short of declaring martial law, a power afforded him only in cases of invasion or rebellion. Funerals for the dead have begun, and victims' families are calling on Duterte for justice.
I want to know who did this to my poor sister.
As they lay their loved ones to rest.
Trukai Sports is next. The Hunters out of the Intrust Super Cup. Details after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The SP-PNG Hunters have been rubbed out of their finals run in the Queensland Intrust Super Cup. They lost to the Sunshine Coast Falcons 18 points to 12 yesterday afternoon at the National Football Stadium in Port Moresby.
This sees underdog Sunshine Coast Falcons proceed to face the Townsville Blackhawks in the second elimination finals. Hunters coach Michael Marum says his boys did not perform to what was expected.
I think better team on the day won. Okay, I think we did everything we could. Okay, prepared well all week, but again, the better team on the day won the game. Okay, and as we all know, it's only one winner. So again, okay, in saying that, okay, we probably had too much confidence after last weekend's game.
A very pleased and happy Falcons coach says his team came in as underdogs but played to their full potential and in the end got the win.
You know, it was going to be really tough for us to fly back 2 weeks in a row and
you know, everyone in the competition knows the Hunters are the most physical side. So we really didn't want to, you know, bring all our blokes last week and expose them to getting beat up by the Hunters and then have to try to come back and play them again. So, you know, we did a real good job this week. We worked really hard.
Craig congratulated the Hunters on their season and says the match played was a true show of rugby league.
In saying that's a great advertisement for rugby league out there today. What you've seen today was fantastic advertisement for rugby league. So, two sides that went at it. They played it hard, but they played it fair. And you know, we go home the winner today, but we could have easily gone home the loser. So,
Falcons captain Troy Giss says they will be looking forward to the next match against the Blackhawks and again will be seen as underdogs.
Oh, mate, you know, we're only limited by. Really, we're only limited by how far we think we can go. There's huge belief in the team. You know, no one thought we were going to come over here and win, realistically.
Marum wished the team good luck in the finals.
I think we wish Trigger and Falcons all the best in the next weekend's game. Okay? And yeah, and hope we do well again against Blackhawks down there.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
Papua New Guinea appeared in a confident, controlled and dominant display in the Mission Foods Nations Cup 2016, beating opposition Canada with a remarkable score of 73-30. Kick-starting the momentum, shooter Tulapi scored the first goal for Team PNG just 30 seconds into the first quarter. Despite the attacks put forth by the 2008 Nations Cup champion, Canada put up a strong fight. Players from both teams exhibited sportsmanship and high-quality performances, bringing spectators through an enthralling game, setting the mood for more sporting action in the week to come. True Kai Sports continues with football after the break. Don't go away.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome back. In football, the PNG Under-20 women's national football team has concluded their 7-match tour of the United States and are preparing to return to Papua New Guinea. The side, coached by American Lisa Cole, has used the tour as invaluable experience as they prepare to meet Brazil on the 19th of November.
Having departed on the 11th of August, the squad of 25 young women had slipped from their training camp in Goroka, largely under the radar. Assistant coach Rachel Waduna had said the team was anxious on the travel, but hopeful of putting in good performances whilst on tour. Earlier in the year, head coach Cole was adamant that the side's improvement lay in how much experience could be gained in a short period of time prior to the World Cup in November.
Just can't put value on experience. When we were in South Korea, I was able to play every single player. Every player started a game, every player, except for maybe one or two, was a sub in the games. So they had experience being a sub, they had experience starting a game, they had experience coming into a game with us down. All experience is so valuable.
Arriving in the U.S. via the Philippines, the side had mixed results. Their opening match against Seattle Pacific ending with a 5-1 scoreline for the visitors, while their first win coming after day 9 with a 2-1 win over Lock Haven, a result that boosted the team's morale. That was followed by a 1-1 draw against Bloomsburg, as the women showed positive signs of improvement. The squad is expected to arrive in Port Moresby on Wednesday. Jeremy Moggy, National EMTV Sports.
New Caledonia battled back from a goal down to eventually run out 4-1 winners over Papua New Guinea. Tournament host Vanuatu and New Caledonia both enjoyed opening wins in Group A of the 2016 OFC Championship in Port Vila over the weekend.
New Caledonia were back on their heels midway through the first half when Papua New Guinea's impressive forward Giwi Simon caught with Potin Poma in possession and teed up Aluawi for the game's opening goal. New Caledonia lived dangerously for the remainder of the first half but found reward for an energetic start to second when Albert Watron combined skill with persistence and squeezed in a 56-minute equalizer. Then just over 10 minutes later, Thomas Gope Finapes gave New Caledonia the lead from a penalty spot. Potin Poma made amends for his early transgression with an expertly placed free kick to extend the advantage with 8 minutes remaining. Substitute Warren Hela added the extras with New Caledonia's fought deep into extra time. Meanwhile, coach Peter Gunamba was disappointed with the team's performance.
We lost composure in the second half. We went to sleep. If we could have maintained the pressure that we applied in the first half, I think we would have maybe limited goal against us, or otherwise we could have scored.
In the other matches, Vanuatu shocked defending champions Fiji in 1-0. In Group B matches on Saturday in Santo, New Zealand saw off Cook Islands 3-0. While Tahiti and Solomon Islands drew at 2-2. Meanwhile, Group A resumes on Tuesday when New Caledonia face Fiji in the noon kickoff, and Vanuatu take on Papua New Guinea at 3 p.m. Vanuatu time. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow: chance of light showers with rain in Port Moresby, evening to night thundery showers and rain in Daru and Kerema, showers and rain with possible thunderstorms in Alotau, showers and rain in Popondetta. In the Momase region, showers and rain in Lae and Medang, thundery showers and rain in Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, thundery showers and rain in Lorengau and Kavieng, evening to night thundery showers and rain in Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, showers and rain in all centers.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Now recapping our main stories for tonight. Hagen League team banned for 3 years. Unitech begins reconciliation, and court says no to Hela by-election. And that's the news, sports and weather for tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Helen Seah. Pleasant viewing. Good night.